Hi, this is Rachelle with Scrapcraftastic, and recently I asked if you would be interested in seeing how I prep stickers to be cut because not all stickers come ready to be cut. So I'm going to be printing and cutting this kit from CHELA Creates. I would consider this type of kit not necessarily stickers, but clip art. So it is not prepared for use with a digital cutter. There is some work involved to prepare it, and usually I sit down and do a bunch of files at one time, and that is what I'm doing here. And so I'm going to show you the processes that I go through. I'm not going to give a lot of details because this could take hours, but I am going to show you some of what I do. I do this in Photoshop, and I do a variety of things when I'm prepping the stickers. I also have to remove the background. Some of these are PDF files, but they still have a white background. So I go in and use the magic wand tool in Photoshop to select and remove the background. So since I'm using a digital cutter, I have to make sure all of the text is in a group together so that my machine doesn't cut each word or each letter separately. So I go and pull those items off of the layer. I also go through and add a stroke or a line around the elements. The white stroke that I'm putting around the elements is considered to be or acts as offset. So if you've seen die cuts and other stickers, they have a white border around them. That is what that stroke is creating for me. It's creating the offset. I'm not sure how it works in Canva, but I think it works the same. You have to draw a stroke or add a stroke to the element to give it that offset. So for instance, as I was mentioning about the text, because of the way the text is created, I usually group all of that, which is why you see me deleting it and then placing it back on the artboard. I have to put usually a bigger stroke or actually draw a background for the text so that it will all stay together. If you can see, I use a large stroke or outline on a lot of the text. Some things just cannot be cut the way I want, so I have to kind of play around with it and make it work. I'm not sure if what I'm doing here can be done in Canva. It may be possible. I don't know, and I don't know if a lot of people have Photoshop now. But if it can be done in Canva, you could absolutely try it there. So this is an example with all text. As you can see, I removed the background and I'm removing the branding because I don't need to cut that. And I'm trying to make this so that I can save it as a transparent background ping. So I'm adding my usual stroke and I'm seeing if that is enough to hold that whole phrase or word together. Then I go into the ones where it's not, and then I make a shape to put in the background that will group all of those words together. I don't know how else to explain that. This can be very complicated, which is why I don't really talk about it much. So this takes a little time in the beginning, but once it's done, I can print it and cut it over and over and over again. So as you can see here, I am filling in those white spaces. And once I get a rhythm going, it doesn't take very long at all. So, and then once I do it, I save it as a PNG file. Same thing here. Delete the background, pull out the text. And here it's a little more complicated because I have some fine sprays behind this flower. So instead of trying to print that, I just erased it. I don't need all of that fine work. And here I'm going in and making sure that I get all of those little tiny pieces out so that they don't even try to print. So I zoom in real close, I zoom out to see where I'm at. Sometimes I'll even put a black background just to make sure that my canvas area is clean in between the images. And this is a little fast, but I basically just wanted to show you some of the process that I go through. It can be complicated, and I'm thinking about if I want to do classes on this or not. If there is enough interest in it, then I may do that. And some things I have to move around. I like to keep my files exactly how I get them, but sometimes I have to move things around. Here you see I'm erasing some of the tiny elements around this flower just so that it doesn't overwork the digital cutter and take forever. I repeated the same process on all of these files and save them as PNG files because I'm going to be using a Cricut. PNG files also work great with the Silhouette Cameo now as well. But I do also, for my Silhouette, I do have the business version, so I'm not sure what other versions allow, but I can use a ping file. And when I pull the ping file in, it already has the cut lines there. I don't even have to generate those. Same thing with the Cricut. When you pull in that ping file, the cut is, once you import it like it's supposed to be, the cuts are already there. So here I'm showing a little closer how I'm going in and filling in those white spaces with a white shape in the background so that when I export it as a ping, all of that is filled in and my letters won't print one at a time. I even delete the white space in the armholes of the dolls and in between the stems of the flowers. So Fear Not here is a little too close. So I'm cutting it, adding the stroke, increasing the stroke, and moving it over a little bit. Because I don't want any of the elements touching, because if they're touching, the digital cutter will see them as one element and cut them out together. Okay, so here we go over to Cricut Design Space, and I'm importing in one of the graphics. I'm going through this really quick. If you have a Cricut, you recognize what's going on here. So, but I'm pulling all of them in. Since these are all part of the same kit, I'm going to put them all on the canvas or artboard together. So I'm pulling them all in at the same time, selecting them. And here's where I set them up to print in different sizes. So when you import them in, it's a larger size than the file should be. But because I know that Cricut only prints 6 3/4 wide and 9 1/4 in height, I just adjust to whichever one of those numbers works best. So here I'm doing that. I'm adjusting them individually to the biggest that they can be for Cricut. So once I get all of that done, then I am going to copy and paste. What you see me doing here is copying the original file. Once I've reduced it to the correct size for Cricut, I copy it twice. Then I group those two together in either landscape or portrait. In this case, I think portrait is best. Since the original file was horizontal, I'm going to group these as portrait. I group them together, then I reduce the size to the biggest that Cricut will cut. So what that does is give me two smaller versions. Usually I even go even smaller, but this time I didn't do that. I just had two smaller versions. So if you see here, I group it together and then I reduce it to whichever the height or the width, the biggest one that I can get that Cricut will allow. It only allows you to print and cut at 6.75 by 9.25 or 9.25 by 6.75, depending on if the file is horizontal or vertical. Hopefully that's not too much information. And if you're a Cricut user, you are already aware of this. So here, everything that I've done has ended up on one page. And I see where I missed one, so I'm going back and correcting that, making sure everything that's supposed to be grouped together is grouped together, and that I have an original size and then the smaller size. So once all that's done, I start printing and cutting. And I usually do it one by one. So I print, then I cut it. With the silhouette, when I'm working on the silhouette, I cut them all and then print them all, but I feel like I'm still new to the Cricut. So just so that I don't get confused, I print it, then I cut. So it's like a back and forth dance. Here you see, this is how the Cricut actually cuts. Excuse my mat, it's dirty, but I've been using it for a long time. I've got a lot of use out of this mat, and I probably will break down and buy another one, but yeah, eventually. So this is the finished product once it has print and cut. This is what they look like. These are the 2-a-page versions. And then these are the full page version. So I know this is a lot of information and may be confusing to some, but for those who understand, I hope you found it helpful. If you enjoyed this video and would like more tutorials on Cricut or Silhouette, let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that little gray bell so that you'll receive notification each time I upload a new video. Be sure to check the community tab and my stories for updates throughout the week. Also, check us out over at patreon.com/Scrapcraftastic for exclusive content and digital downloads. Visit my other channel, Journal Life's Journey, for craft videos and junk journals. You can find me across social media at Scrapcraftastic. Visit my website and shop at Scrapcraftastic.com. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.